Welcome to the Adventure Scroll. This is the show where I recap our last Legend of the Five Rings game, which you can check out at the description or at the little eyeball in the corner. Eyeball? It's a ball with an I in it, the letter I. So the point of this is for me to go through and tell you what kind of worked and what didn't work when running the adventure. So what happened last game is they were going through a Shadowland swamp, and they were on a small, tight bridge of land, and the water was swarming with zombies, and they were coming up out of the water and trying to drag them down into the depths. So what did I do? What didn't I do? And why did I do these things? Let's get down into it. One thing I did that I haven't been doing in the game before is putting in advantages and disadvantages and making them work, making them worthwhile. A lot of the characters, we've just been forgetting about them. We just literally kind of forgot all about our advantages and disadvantages because there's so many. You know, this is the theme of me talking about the Legend of the Five Rings game. There are so many moving pieces. There are so many things you worry about. This rule and that rule, and you know what the opportunities do, how to use your techniques, your school ability, all of that stuff. And now, advantages and disadvantages. Advantages and disadvantages aren't hard, fast rules in this version of L5R. They're more like, if you think it fits, you can re-roll some dice, or I can re-roll some dice if it's a disadvantage, inflict that on you for your best dice. Stuff like that. So a lot of people just don't know when to use it. Crystal didn't know when to use her advantage. So that's just what happens in the game. Since you don't know when to use your advantage, you don't know when to use your disadvantage. And you might say, hey Corey, you're the game master. You're supposed to take care of your players' advantages. No, that's not how this works. I don't know your character. You play your character. When your disadvantage comes up, you need to be honest. Now let's talk about NPC advantages and disadvantages, which they don't have real rules for. There's a phrase followed by the ring, followed by a few descriptive words. For example, what we used in the game was zombie peasant. Zombie peasants are hungry for flesh. What does that mean? There's nothing in here that tells you what hungry for flesh does. It says it's fire ring, it's martial and mental, which means what to me? How do I implement that into the game? Well, all distinctions basically allow somebody to re-roll 2 dice, up to 2 dice. I said, okay, when they're on fire stance and they're coming at you for your flesh, then they get to re-roll up to 2 dice. I thought that was a fair way to implement that. They also had a disadvantage, shambling gait, which is water martial. This means to me that they're slow. So I only had them move 1 space. If they made fitness water checks to, move faster after them, they would have re-rolled 2 dice to their detriment. So their top 2 dice would be re-rolled, and they wouldn't be able to get those. Because we added in this new re-rolling mechanic, I went back and checked the order of operations, how you're supposed to do dice. I think doing this order of operations is helpful, and it's a little clunky at first, but the more we do it, the more it'll just be natural, and this is the way you do it. And I think it really showed during the game. At first, we were a little clunky with it, and then as we went, it got easier and easier and easier, and suddenly the players knew exactly what to do when they rolled their dice. And it was wonderful, and I loved it. So how you do that is you declare your intent, what you are doing. Then you'll determine the details, what skill you're using, what ring you're using, your approach. Then you assemble your dice pool. That's easy. We've got that down packed. Then with your dice pool, you roll your dice. Brilliant. After the dice are rolled, you get to modify your roll. And this is where your advantages and disadvantages or any bonuses or penalties come into play. You have an advantage that allows you to re-roll 2 dice, you do it now. You have a technique that allows you to add a kept die with a success on it. You do that now. The next step is to choose your kept dice. You say, I want this one, this one, this one, this one. This includes keeping explosive successes. You don't roll extra dice from an explosive success just yet. You just declare that you're keeping it. Now you get to resolve the symbols on your kept dice. The first thing you do is your explosive successes. You add a new die to your die pool to your kept dice. You roll that die and you decide whether you're going to keep it there or not. Easy peasy. You add in your strife, then you use your opportunity, and lastly, you resolve the successes. It's long, I gotta say. It's not the most elegant way to run a role-playing game, but I've said this before. Like I said, it's the running theme of this version of Legend of the Five Rings. If I were writing this game, if I made this game, I would have made this a lot simpler. So thanks for watching. Here are our Patreon subscribers somewhere on the screen. I'd love to really thank them for everything they do, because getting adventures, running these games, they take a little bit of money. So I'm very happy to have them, and I wish you could come on board and help as well. It's only $1, and you get this nice shout out, and there'll be stuff coming for you in the future. I'll see you next time.